drinks and apps and dinners and this and shots. You get you some good tables. Hold on a second.
The little one. Hey there. Elizabeth walks into the room. Hey there. So, still here, Mike Austin. Today we're talking about issues in DC. We talked about, I-82, affordability so far. And last but not least, I wanted to touch on and have a discussion about our ward's, our city's favorite topic. Mr. Austin, sir, what do you have to say about crime in Ward 8, if there are any solutions that you see, long-term, short-term? Because I know personally this is a more complex conversation than many like to admit to. Crime has been an issue since I was an infant. A lot of people, scream at the mayor about it. Is one of those issues that, yes, she has oversight in terms of being an elected, which they all do. But I don't think it's as simple as me personally pointing to the elected. But I would like to hear what you have to say as it relates to crime in DC, being a resident, as well as a person who is seeking office, because I know those perspectives can be completely different and they do have some overlap. But go ahead.
So this might anger some of our residents, but we cannot police our way to peace. And I know that, it rhymes and all that, but I've thought about it. We're never gonna get there. Right now, there are certain areas where they're open air drug markets and police are sitting right there, right? And so it's not always the police presence that is going to deter crime. It might, sometimes they get out the car, they make guys move or whatever, but that's not even stopping the crime. It's not even doing anything to address the crime that we have in the ward. And so it's not always a police force response that is going to solve our challenges. So to that, I would say, one, as just a resident, I know, and you and I might feel differently than some other residents here in the city. I kind of just, you probably walk through the streets and you don't really feel that afraid, right? I mean, you know the neighborhood,
This is true.
You can defend yourself if necessary. And those just, I think, comes with, you can handle yourself if necessary. Worst case scenario, hey, you want my wallet? Good, you got it, man. Ain't no money in it, man. I got maybe a 20 tucked in there somewhere. But, for the most part, you go ahead. So it's not, so you kind of probably walk through certain neighborhoods and you're like, all right, I'm fine. But it's not about just us. It's, maybe because we're men and, we could probably handle ourselves if something were to kick off. But for the women, a lot of the kids, the students, they don't always feel safe traveling to and from school. A lot of women don't feel safe coming outside, right? Jacking cars, they're getting robbed, and they're getting stuck up. So it's the crime is, been an issue for decades. I do think, and I believe this, that violence interrupters can work. And people go, I think it can work. I know we've seen it fail, but not really, right? But from its inception, it's been a political tool at all levels.
This is true.
At all levels. And so from its inception, we had, an executive team. We had a OAG team, right? There was never a cohesive team to say, this is our strategy and this is our team for violence prevention. So that's the first mistake. It should have been a cohesive team instead of this group doing this group doing that, and the left hand not talking to the right hand. That was the first thing I said. And I remember I asked Charles Allen when he came to the ANC. I was the ANC chair. I said, what are y'all doing? And at the time he was over judiciary, he's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, why do you have two teams, independent of each other working, right? And not sharing notes, not sharing data. Even if they are kind of sharing notes and data, it's not required, right? It's not, there's no cross communication where it's given to the government. These are our findings.
It's not mandated.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the first mistake. So I said, okay, well, and then I don't think it was ever defined what success looks like, for that type of work. Is it that crime goes down, or is that we prevented these crimes, or these are real credible threats that we actually stopped? And so I think, they kind of figured it out, as it blossomed and grew, and that's okay. But I think it needed to be a cohesive approach from the outset. Then, I'm not even going to reference Treon and his interactions with that, but that was another big mistake that I think took the air out of the room for violence interruption for people who are actually qualified to do the work. Because of his transgressions, I think there's this misnomer that it is not effective or that it is not going to work. When in reality, I feel that it will work, and I actually got excited for the program, and I'm applauding the program and the work, people who do the work, because I know they're well-intentioned and that they are actually, trying to put the right people in position. Over the years, and that's the political answer, right? Over the years, and it's just me and you talking now, I've seen people who I know said, I ain't stopping no crime. I said, well, why are you getting paid to be a violence interrupter? Why are you getting $35, $40, $50,000 to be an interrupter if you saying out your mouth that you're not gonna stop no crime? That, to me, that was the craziest thing. And that's when we get into the politics of it. We know if folks were using it as a tool and as a fund to put their people on or put their allies on and make sure somebody had a part-time job, and again, it makes sure if people were eating. That's the stuff that I'm not trying to get into. This is how we need to get it. It will work if, one, we define what success looks like. All right. We have realistic goals and expectations for the program. Two, remove political influence from the program completely. Right. Let it be run independent of all these politicians so it can do its thing.
Yeah.
And I would say let the people who are most qualified in these neighborhoods to go in and do the work. Right, because it shouldn't be a way where, okay, Mike know Devon, so now Devon is a violence interrupter. Okay, why are you interrupting when you're not interrupting us though? Right? You may not have these relationships in these certain neighborhoods that can actually be considered credible. You're not a credible messenger to the guys, most likely, or women, gals, or in between, that are most likely to commit violent crime. So that's where the mistakes have come in. So I think, one, we need to audit it better. And I think we need to, instead of shutting it down, we need to invest in it more and invest in it with proper auditing and proper tools and oversight so that we can see what success looks like. We've had this model out for a few years now. It has been relatively successful here and there, right? I read the reports they put out, certain instances being stopped, information on certain beefs that are going on. But also, I just know in my heart that our crime stems from economic insecurity and poverty. And a lot of our crime is rooted in people wanting money. And that's understandable. We're not just out here like, oh, I'm from this neighborhood, so boom, boom. No, generally, even if I'm from this neighborhood and I'm doing certain thing, it's a turf issue, it's a financial issue, it's a product issue. Something happened in somebody's place where they were supposed to be an exchange, a barter, something. I got a product, you got some money. That transaction went poorly, so now my friends and my guys beefing with your friends and it's generally stemmed around something in that nature where we lose sight of these neighborhoods are beefing. And in reality, these neighborhoods are beefing not over, colors or this and that or the name of the street. They're beefing over economic issue.
I like to explain to people who might not understand the phenomenon of what you're talking about. And when you grow up in it, I think it's a little bit different in terms of just the understanding. Because you are correct. I've always tried to explain to people and advocate in a way that people understood that a lot of the crime is economic issue. And I say that because even when you talk about somebody getting shot for a pair of J's, right? People think that's stupid, but what they don't understand is those Jordans represent a level of status, a level of clout. And because our society is the way that it is, those Jordans might present another opportunity for me through a means. The shoes themselves represent the vehicle. And what you're talking about is the actual vehicles of a whole ecosystem. My turf and territory is another vehicle to economic access. Because now I can control who come through, who don't come through. And money comes with that. Resources and access come with that. And I think if people understood the streets a little bit more, that we could find better solutions, to your point.
That's why I really want to focus on workforce issues. And I talk about workforce a lot because, I've said it at these debates where, they said, well, how do we reduce prostitution? And I had to change subjects, but I said, well, we got to give them a viable alternative. We got to give the worker a viable alternative. Let's say she's making $1,000 a day. It's the oldest, game in the book. What else is she gonna do? All right, so we need to create a pipeline where they have a viable option. Same thing with transactions and drug dealing and all these other things that I think are the core of our crime. I mean, we're known for PCP. That's, dippers, whatever you want to call it. We're known for that. Cool. That's going to continue to be a hot product, hot commodity. Weed is slowed up a lot. We know that too. So, other hard drugs still exist. So, we got to figure out what viable options can we be giving folks and how do we put them on a pipeline to some kind of economic pathway. So we really talking about, let's take IT, right? Let's take IT. And okay, yeah, and I don't want to sound crazy. We're never going to get to, if you're a top dog in this game, we're not, if you You got racks on racks, 20 racks.
Like you said, it's about creating the alternative. Because if you go back to the sex worker, it's like, if you're making $5,000 a day, it's more than likely you aren't going to, I can't make an appeal to you.
Exactly. But I think everybody else, there's an appealing option to say, you don't got to be doing this, right? There's something else. Of course, you know, you got folks that's really making that kind of money, ridiculous money. They're not trying to hear anything. They too deep in. They're not trying to hear anything. They may not even be interested. Like, man, I'm getting money. But there's a lot of other folks lower level in that industry that's going to be interested. Like, all right, if I can help you make 6 figures, right? Guaranteed 6 figures. You're going to do these certain things. Give me 8 months, seriously. Give me a year, seriously. Paid training. Give me something serious. Are you really going to commit to this the rest of your life? You don't got to be standing outside. You don't got to be sitting in cars, you know, waiting on somebody, waiting on ops, waiting if they're going to spend. You don't got to do none of that. You can just go to work, come home, have you know, a nice family, you know what I mean? Have you a nice young lady or, you know, young man, whatever, and you could have a decent life, man. You could just have a quiet life and get out of that stuff completely. I think we just got to continue to show our people there's something different besides certain things, because they getting younger and younger, and the economic issues, especially with social media, makes it so much harder, right, on them, because they getting pressure, and they getting pressure to look like they're successful at 17 and 16 and 15.
Yeah.
And, you know,
that's the thing.
It is worse than what it was when we was kids. I think Facebook was just starting to, you know what I'm saying? MySpace, you know, I'm like, so, but it wasn't like this, where it's every day, all day, girls and guys, and they got Gucci and this and that. And
Everybody got buzzed down.
Brands I never heard of at some point. And I'm like, wow, you know, what are all these brands? Just all these high-end luxury brands that you're supposed to be starting to get in our age, you know, like, okay, working hard, you know, I can go treat myself to some things, you know, my bills taken care of, people straight, cool, I can go spend my little extra on, you know, maybe get myself a treat. But now these kids young and they want it all. And it's, you know, they want quick monies. We got to figure out a way to catch them before they get into that mindset of, I'm ready for it right now, and I'm gonna do by any means necessary to get it. Because they all not making money in this game, right? They all are not. And I've talked to a lot of them just quietly, never talk about it. They're not making no money. They're not making no money. And, you know, you're welcome. They don't all want, but they don't know another option, right? They feel like maybe there's hopelessness for them. Like, oh man, you know, what else I'm gonna do? I ain't graduated high school. I'm out here, probably I'm tatted up, you know, like I don't know what else you could potentially get into. So definitely when we talk about development and job opportunities and amenities and, you know, just the ecosystem as a whole, want to be able to create pipelines for our people, man, that'll really put them in position and be intentional about it. So we're talking about RFK, you know, we talk about the jobs and the set-asides. I mean, be intentional about, I need to set aside the jobs that we can get some good men together and, you know, we could work with DOES, but I really want to make sure we're getting people prepared. We set aside a job. Look, I got a training program right now. Start a training program. There's a job at the end of the training program. You're going to be set and be ready to go. All right, we're going to make sure you're highly qualified for certain positions, that's skilled positions. To be an electrician, what that take 3 years? You know what I mean? So you're going 2 years, you know, you're going to be highly qualified in these trades, and you're going to be able to start on day one at a RFK and some of these other sites, you know, with some experience already under your belt that it's going to put food on the table for years, right? To make sure your family can eat for years, or you can eat for years. And I just wish they saw it that way. I mean, there's money out here to be made. It's all economic issues. That's why the military is always an attractive option for some people, because there ain't anything else. Too often we get caught up in, I'm going to play sports. And then when that don't work out, I got nothing to hold.
Yeah. And to your point, you know, and this is probably a conversation for another time and another moment. Me as a resident, I would like to say that, you know, it's a lot of cultural issues that we have to address in our ward as we ask our representatives to aid in that process. Because I agree 100% that you're saying. You got to create the opportunities. You got to create the appeal. You got to make it cool. And at the same time, I need the people who are largely in large numbers that I grew up with, because it's us as millennials who are the parents now and the caretakers, we got to do a better job. And I'm willing to say that in the sense that, you know, as they going through the process of school, as they going through all of these different motions, we have to do better as parents, you know, and being accountable to ourselves and to our children. Because it's one thing to ask anybody in office, whether it be you, whether it be Trayon, whether it be Mayor Bowser, or anybody that has come through Marion, they cannot fix all of those issues because it's a number of things that and the complexity of it happening all at one time, you know? So that's what I got to say to it. If you had any last words as it relates to the crime and everything like that, I appreciate you for coming and joining me today on this good day and bringing the little one.
You okay? You laughing? She laughing, man. Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me, man. This is good to talk with you and get on the show. And we got maybe a lot of issues to solve. It's I think and we can keep talking, but tie in national politics and national ideas. We talked a little bit about free market and just I think how the council is getting away from allowing markets to operate and self-regulate and big government again making solutions where there are no problems. And that's not something I'm looking for. I'm not looking to just because we can create a solution or change a system just to change it to say we changed it when things don't work or because that doesn't always benefit us. By and large, Initiative 77 made marijuana legalized or decriminalized, and to me that was the worst thing that happened to black men in the last 30 years. So again, if I could repeal that tomorrow, I would. You know what I mean? And I don't care what the voters say because again, it's not about it being because it changed the mindset of people that I care about and the people that look like you and me that believe that it is legal to smoke marijuana. And I don't care if people do. I do not. The repercussion of that was
it's still a consequence.
Still a consequence.
Economic consequence. Even though I'm not criminalizing you and locking you up, you getting locked out of the labor market in a different way. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I wish people still thought they had to sneak to do it. You know what I mean? So at least you're like, all right, I'm gonna hit it one time and I'm yeah, now they just going crazy and like they not even trying to get prepared for the interview anymore. It's like, no, I'm gonna stop 3 months before. No, they're not even trying to get serious about. They believe that it is legal, and I said it too. Just just layman's way, it's legal when it's not. It's just decriminalized. So again, so the initiative thing, I don't think we need to find a balance between the super liberal, super progressive, and what's best for us on this side of the river and what's best for Ward 8. Because again, everything that's good for everybody else, when they don't have the same economic issues or generational issues or financial issues or the dynamics that we have. A lot of our families, that may not work for us. So, and some of these priorities may not be our priority, right? Because we focused on, okay, let's make sure folks are safe. Let's make sure, we solving the SNAP benefits issue. We solving TANF cliff issue that we're helping, our residents with their health insurance and the Medicaid cliff. And all of these challenges and cliffs, right, where people are going to lose, certain benefits. Those are the priorities I want to focus on and things I want to try to legislate around. And also to, create some new pathways and pipelines for our people. So I don't, that 82 is not a priority for me at all. Yeah, at all. And again, it's not a priority. And I don't think it should be law right now. And I think that, RFK will create some opportunities for our people, but we got to do it. Again, we got to tweak it so that we're maximizing the $1 billion investment that we're going to put in and maximizing the job potentials that we can have and start to prepare our people now. But right now, we don't do that kind of stuff. We just allow it to happen to us and not really being at the table to say, all right, well, we need a guarantee. If they're going to do 40,000, what they needs is fair share of these, I don't know, I need 7,000 jobs. I need to do some kind of assessment. I can't just throw out a number, but imagine if we had this many jobs for Ward 8, we hosted a hiring fair in Ward 8, and we built it out right over maybe like 6 months. And we just started pulling all our resources, the plumbers, the carpenters, the small businesses, and we really, we're serious about Ward 8 growth and advancement and put all our resources together, not just me and my phone, but a collective unity of our people and all their tools and skills. All right. But then I can go to the mayor and say, I got 17 carpenters, I got 50 electricians, I got 75 handymen in this area, contractors, and all these folks are highly qualified. When they come down to the businesses, I got these folks that are qualified and ready, and these folks that run a food truck right now, long-standing Ward 8 resident. I just moved into the ward to get some benefit because they hear what we're doing, but really been, active in the ward or live in the ward in a long-standing business. They run a food truck. They need to be a participant in the RFK Stadium. And so that's kind of, I'm looking at it and envisioning it so that all of these opportunities are, directed for and benefiting long-standing Ward 8 residents and our people who ultimately I think should benefit from the new prosperity that the city is about to see. That's you know, the difference I think between me and everybody else that's running is that far more visionary and trying to be forward thinking of how we approach these issues, how we legislate them, and connecting the dots for government so that, you know, with a pragmatic, common sense approach, but moving the needle actually forward and connecting our people to resources. And it's gonna take a fight because they're not gonna want to do that kind of stuff. They're not used to us, you know, talking like that. They're not used to, you know, and that's all. That's at the whole council level.
Nah, they definitely.
That's it. That's what I'm about. That's what I'm pushing for.
Well, July 15th, people, if you're here in Washington, D.C., I thank everybody for tuning in and joining us on this conversation. If you're not here in D.C., no, even if you are here in D.C., still hit the like button, hit the share button, let everybody know to get out. July 15th, right? I got that right. July 15th.
Who on the ballot?
Mike Austin. Y'all know who I'm supporting. So that's not any secret if you follow me on social media, but I'm saying it here again today. This is my guy, and I hope that y'all go out on July 15th and make the same decision, and we'll see. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Much love to the family, and thank you for joining me, boss.